Hogwarts Legacy. What is our story? Welcome back, people. I am Mark Zillman. Okay, going to take a slightly different tact to a few of the other videos I've seen. It's a lot more popular channels than mine. They're doing like the 20 things you have missed, or the 55 things you haven't seen, and all that kind of funky stuff. It's quite good for little details, but of course, I don't do little details, so I always do deep dives. So we're going to look at a slightly bigger picture, and nothing wrong with the other channel stuff. It's just I want to try and diversify because I'm a small channel. I have to do things differently to stand out a little bit. So what we're going to look at is our character in the game and what we kind of glean from the last two trailers. And we might be over-analysing one particular thing, but I'll show you when we get there. So how we start our journey. So we start in year 5, which is unusual in itself. We arrive on a thestral or self-flying carriage. Now, according to PlayStation blog, it says we start you as a late 5th year, so you're definitely nowhere near the beginning, you know the end of your 5th year, which means you are turning 15 in that year. So there must be something about 15 rated somewhere for you to do certain spells, I guess. Anyway, so as we need to catch up with other students, it's apparent that we've not had no magical training, right? Because if we were homeschooled, which is an option, we would have magical training. Most often than not, magical. It's kind of better than being at school. Yeah, or if we're at a different school, we've also had magical training. So we've had to catch up, as it were. So it's not clear why the Hogwarts Book of Admittance has missed us. Normally it picks us up. So not quite sure what happened there. Could it be because we are different in such a way that the book cannot detect our magic? Looking at the PlayStation blog, the narrative lead Moira Squia says, players will get to experience what it was like for Harry starting at a new visiting school and knowing no one at all. And, like Harry, the player's character is a bit of a celebrity from the outset due to the fact they are starting as a 5th year and because they survived a... ... And it says, let's just say your arrival at Hogwarts is rather eventful. Clearly, we are missed by the Book of Admittance, and something major happens to us, and it becomes apparent we do have magic. So this bit has been obviously removed because it is a major spoiler and it's not in the blog. I think an unforgivable curse is a bit cliche. I don't think that's something we have survived, so we'll have to think again. Now, it goes on to say that the blog post says Ranrock has seen a glimmer of a magic that Wizardkind tried to hide, even from themselves, and he wants that power in particular. Assuming he's referring to the ancient magic, how does he witness it? The newspaper is dated 1st of September, so that's before we start. So Ranrock has glimpsed this magic before you even attend Hogwarts, so I suspect you have survived something using ancient magic. It got in the papers, you became famous, and Ranrock has seen it and wants it for himself. So that's a little bit about our start in life as a Hogwarts student. We have survived something, possibly using ancient magic. Ranrock has seen it in the newspaper. He wants it for himself. So what is our journey? So we can manipulate ancient magic that is hidden in the Wizarding World, as seen here.
You're a new student at the famed School of Witchcraft and Wizardry with a unique ability to manipulate powerful ancient magic hidden in the Wizarding World.
So it looks like we attend in 1890. I say looks like because the only evidence for that specific date is a newspaper that is presented to us. We are assuming it's an up-to-date newspaper. I assume this scene is the thestral carriage you were taken to Hogwarts in right at the very beginning. So I assume that's like an introduction, part of the introduction storyline. In order to help us catch up, there are special lessons. It's quite good guides for basically game mechanic tutorials, which is pretty cool. It's like rudimentary potions that Harry took. There we go. So that's with other students and professors we can see with us. Of course, with great power comes great responsibility and adventure. Yes, I added that last bit myself. Seems we're not the only ones who are aware of this ancient magic. Looking at the trailer here, So Ranrock is a goblin that is looking to create a goblin uprising, and there is an uneasy alliance between them and dark wizards. They are after a child. So let's look at this clip.
You said you could get to the child when they came to Hogsmeade. That all you needed was a distraction. I gave you a distraction.
I just watched a student take down your distraction. Who is this child? You're not telling me.
So this is where we can get a little bit down a weird tangent. This could be entirely inaccurate, but I thought it was an interesting use of wording. So Ranrock says, you said you could get to the child when they came to Hogsmeade. That all you needed was a distraction. I gave you a distraction. Top Cat Guy, which is actually Victor Rockwood. I just watched a student take down your distraction. Who is this child? What are you not telling me? Now, upon first viewing, I thought we were the child. That makes sense. We are the main character. However, Victor Rockwood refers to a student who defeats the distraction. Does this mean that the student and the child are different? We're highly likely to be the student who defeats the distraction, right? So who is the child? If they were one and the same, as in if the child and the student were the same person, wouldn't Rockwood say, I just watched this child take down your distraction. Who are they? What are you not telling me? Why does he refer to the same person in two different ways? Why are they a student? Well, why are they a child? Then he says student and then child again. So this child could indeed be anyone. It could be us. It may just be a weird bit of dialogue. The dialogue may also be cut funny for the trailer as well. But however, as a weird tangent and a conspiracy thing, Dumbledore is 9, not yet a student, most certainly a child. Maybe there's some sort of prophecy or something divined about him. I say, it could also be a bit of dodgy dialogue where we've kind of missed some context along the way where it's been cut. But it's quite interesting that there could be a child somewhere. Yeah, that's not us. That one is a bit of an edge case, I must admit, but it's actually quite funny to look at. So a mentor is provided to us, named Professor Eleazar Fig. The blog says, to unearth the mysteries behind ancient magic and stop Ranrock's rebellion, you need a friend and mentor to guide you along the way. Enter Professor Eleazar Fig. Now, if you are wondering whether you've heard the word Fig before, the surname Fig, we have Mrs. Fig, which kind of kept an eye on Harry during his time growing up with the Dursleys. She had lots of cats, and is a squib. So enter Professor Eleazar Fig, whose investigations into rumours of a goblin rebellion have earned him an uneasy scepticism from the Ministry of Magic. Of course, Ministry of Magic always likes to be in denial. So some things never change, huh? So you also make friends along the way who will teach you new things and help you during your quests as well. So you have Professor Fig and students as well teaching you things, so best to make as many friends as possible. These friends will also come along with you as sort of aids to your quests as well. They kind of follow along and shoot stuff, as you can see Professor Fig in one of these clips. Of course, there's another element to this as well. So as well as the bad guys you have in the ancient magic, there's also a mysterious dark magic. Now this either goes alongside the ancient magic or is part of the ancient magic. This is corrupting creatures and beasts. In a later video, we are going to look at this kind of corruption and the magic in general in its kind of iconism and its use of colours. There are a few things that we have seen on various beasts in the trailer to indicate somehow they have been corrupted. There's the frog, but there's another key one that no one's actually kind of really picked up on yet that I've seen. And I'm not going to keep that one for the next video, so like and subscribe if you want to see that one. But we'll be going into some of this like corrupted magic and the symbolism of the ancient magic and that. One's obviously the logo. But if you look at the video really carefully, you can kind of see it in quite a few places. We can also learn unforgivable curses. Now, of course, Harry has used unforgivable curses himself. So you can choose where to be on the spectrum of light and dark, as we know from Sirius Black. A very wise man.
The world isn't split into good people and Death Eaters. We've all got both light and dark inside of us.
What matters is the part we choose to act on.
We can see how light and dark we want to be. I can feel several playthroughs coming on. Playing as a light character, playing as a dark boy, and so here we go. So yes, stay tuned for that later video where we'll be investigating the iconography and the colours and patterns used to show dark magic and the iconography and the spells and things like that. So that's our basic introduction to our character. Of course, a lot of it is going to be revealed as we play the game. Obviously can't do it all right now, otherwise, well, what's the point in playing the game? So of course there are many unanswered questions. So what was exactly the thing we survived? How is it connected to ancient magic? We can assume that something bad happened to us, and somehow we used ancient magic, because we didn't have a wand, and ancient magic doesn't need a wand, to get ourselves out of whatever happened. And it was so sensationalistic that it made the newspapers in the Wizarding World. So it was public. It wasn't like we'd fell out of bed or anything. It was some major thing going on. Are we the child? Was the child us? Are we one and the same? Or is there actually some child in the narrative which isn't us? Okay, it's a stretch, but it could be something. It's not all about you, you know. And also, how does the mysterious dark magic relate to the ancient magic? And is there a light magic? Which I will go into in the next video. So I hope I've kind of laid out some of the stuff we have seen in such a way that you can begin to understand our character. This is the character we're going to play. Obviously, when you start the game in December, there'll be a massive introduction and it'll tell us all sorts of wonderful things. But until now, we just got ourselves and this tiny trailer to work out. There will be other media stuff. They said they're going to release some more information as we get closer to November, December time when the game should possibly maybe come out. So if you found this video helpful, hit like. It really helps me know what you're kind of into. Hopefully you've enjoyed this. Hit subscribe if you are new as well, especially if you want to look into the ancient magic we can look into in the next episode. Again, iconography and all that sort of stuff. Really quite cool. It's amazing, the detail. I've watched a lot of videos on how they've made movies and stuff and how they introduce certain things. Like, for example, The Matrix, where it's kind of green when you're in the Matrix and blue when you're outside the Matrix, but Zion is another colour and this sort of stuff, and how they kind of do that sort of stuff. So I've become kind of aware of that and certain iconography usage, and I sort of spot it now, weird things. So yeah, definitely worth a tune in if you're interested in that. Also, if you're interested in Magic Awakened, I played the beta. I kind of have a bunch of stuff kind of ready for when the game's coming out, including like how to use the navigation, how to basically first things you should do in the game and how it works and stuff like that. So if you're interested in Magic Awakened, that is another good reason to subscribe as well. So let me know in the comments below, what do you think about the child? Are we one and the same? Is it a weird play and or sort of jankiness on the dialogue? Or am I just looking at smoke? Or is it actually a thing to consider? Follow me on Twitter at Mark Zillman for the latest information. And finally, don't forget to brush up any spells so you can write your own Hogwarts Legacy.